What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today we need to have a good old look at what is going on with Premium Booster 02. We've done a few videos about Premium Booster 02 since it came out. We done a video showing you what the most valuable cards in the set are. I did a video just recently showing you about how some of the cards, some of the mechanically unique exclusive cards from the set, and I'm talking about you, Marco, and I suppose Zorro here as well, are getting a little bit silly. But I think we need to today have a step back and look at the set as a whole. Because actually, price-wise, value-wise, singles-wise, this set is going a little bit silly and a little bit nuts. And it's kind of partly doing what we would expect, and partly really not doing what we would expect. And we need to have a bit of a chat about this. This set is getting a little bit weird. So let's take a couple of the bigger cards in the set, for instance. Let's have a look at the Gum Gum Giant manga event. Now, as I sit here and record, it started life at about 400, and it went down to 335, up to 345, but generally speaking, we've got a real downwards trend going on here. Which isn't that surprising. For a manga event, this is huge. Like, properly huge. Manga events generally do not get up to this kind of level, so it makes sense that this would come down a bit, and generally speaking, as a general rule in general sets, we see that the pre-sale prices are way too high. So okay, this comes down a bit, and we look at it and we go, well, yeah, the pre-sale price is ridiculous, it's come down. But then by the same token, we can have a look at the Manga Sanji, and hang on a second, that's gone up since release, from about 845 to 925, according to the graph on TCG Player. That seems a little bit weird. And my explanation for this one is something I've kind of been telling you guys for a little while now on this channel, for the past week or two. Premium Booster 02 is turning into one of those sets. General rule, general set releases, prices come down. That is generally what we see from basically every set. Simple as that. Well, that is not what we see with Manga Sanji here. Because sometimes the set as a whole gets super hyped. And a lot of cards in the set get quite expensive, which then makes the set as a whole more expensive, and then things like the manga end up going up. Take the alternate art Luffy, the new Luffy from PRB-02. It is an extremely playable card, and one of the things we loved about this set was that it was reprinting this Luffy from PRB-02 because we all wanted it, because it's an obscenely playable card. Well, it started life with a pre-sale price of like 140, dropped down almost immediately to nearly 120, but now it's up to 150. It's actually managed to go higher than it was on the pre-sale prices, and essentially here what we've got is a combination of the previous two cards. Initially, we had the, well, it's out, so prices are dropping, yay. But then people went, hang on a second, Premium Booster 02 is getting a bit silly, maybe a lot of these cards are going to go up, and then that's gone and pushed it back up again. Now, obviously, I've been telling you about some of the mechanically unique exclusive cards from the set. Things like Marco, for instance, never had that downwards bump. It started at about 80 and it's now up to 145. But I'm not going to go too much into the new mechanically unique cards in this video, purely because we had a look at those the other day. I don't think we need to necessarily go back over that. However, the trends in this set as a whole absolutely are worth looking at, because they don't necessarily make a huge amount of sense. Take something like Rebecca. What we see from Rebecca is generally exactly what we would expect. It starts life at a $130 card and drops down almost instantly to 106. A pretty impressive drop, about a 20% drop almost instantly. Why? Because it's a new set. And new sets start off super high, and then they come down pretty much instantly. And Rebecca's a really good card. It's a very playable card. Arguably one of the best cards we've ever had in the One Piece card game. But it's also a card which has been reprinted a bunch. Like, it came around initially in OP05, and it had a really nice alternate art in OP05, but then it also had a special rare at one point as well. Let's not pretend that this is the only copy of Rebecca around. So it kind of makes sense that this Rebecca, as good as it is, and even though it's in Premium Booster 02, it's one of many alternate art Rebeccas. We don't expect one of many to start holding their value. That's just not the way it tends to work. And I show you cards like this to really hammer home the point. It's not the set as a whole. It is not everything about the set. We can look at some other manga events here. My Era Begins. Now, apparently some sold for $380 on pre-sale on TCG Player. I am skeptical about that. But if we go to the more sensible pre-sale, it's about $200. But it's already dropped down to $105. Even if we look at the 380 sales and go, that's absurd, and I think it might be fair to say that's absurd on those, there was still a bunch of sales around the 200 mark, and yet it's there at 105 with sales below 100. And actually, yeah, just like the other manga event, this is coming down. None of the other manga events have settled that high. Why should ones like this? And we see the same kind of thing coming in from Cross Guild. Was never as expensive a card. It went from 95 down to about 73, and it's now up to about 80. So that one is kind of going up a little bit, admittedly. But that one is still quite low compared to the others and significantly lower than it started. And you go, all right, then, that actually makes perfect sense. This is, slight jump up by a few dollars, but this is about what we would expect. But then we go and have a look at Come On, We'll Fight You manga event, and that one went from 85 down to 80, but now is almost straight back up again. Now, it's also worth noting the y-axis on that is $6 in total, so there's a strong argument here that we could look at this as it's barely moved, which would be kind of nice. But it's still an example of a card which isn't really going down like some of the others. Manga events as a whole are on the way down, no question, but they're not all going very nicely like they should. But there are some trends we can start to pick out. One card which is quite similar to the Rebecca I showed you a moment ago is Carrot, by which I mean really super playable card, but it's been out for a while and there are other alt art versions of it. So how much is it really going to move the needle? Answer is, it's an expensive card, but it has dropped from 100 down to 90. It's only actually a 10% drop, so let's not overreact to this. But this one seems to be trending very much like we see with Rebecca. It's a card that's been out a while. It's a card that, let's face it, most players already have. So okay, that's fine. Or maybe there's a limit on this as well. Because take the Tony Chopper from OP10. Now, this is a cheaper card, so we're not going to see such big swings here. But started off at about 35, dropped down to about 31, and now it's back up to 35. Despite the fact that this is an OP10 card, it's been out for a little while, and yeah, fine, it's very, very playable. But this is one that is not really dropping very much at all, and given that it's on the way up, it's probably going to end up being pretty quickly more expensive than it was initially. And it's very hard to draw many conclusions when we look at Premium Booster 02 as a whole, because the prices really are all over the place. I can tell you that the manga events are generally coming down, and they are, incidentally. That is a thing that is happening. I can tell you that some of the older cards, things like Rebecca and Carrot, the new versions, are generally coming down because they are. And I can tell you that the new mechanically unique cards, they do seem to be the ones that are going a little bit silly. Like, take something like Sabo, which is not the most hyped new card coming out of Premium Booster 02, which started life, the alternate art, of course, at 38, went down to 32, and back up to 45. Well, yeah. Because the thing about these cards is, we know that these Premium Booster and Extra Booster sets, they don't necessarily tend to stay around for very long. Which means that if these cards ever become good, oh, you better believe the prices of these are going to skyrocket. I told you how Kobe is a very playable card the other day. Well, the alternate art of that has just basically gone from 35 to 45. It's an alternate art rare. It shouldn't be that valuable of a card. But the set as a whole is pushing it up. And I think we're going to see more and more of that from these mechanically unique exclusive cards. There are some trends we can pull out of Premium Booster 02, and certainly in terms of the alternate arts of bigger cards, and the vague trends at the moment are manga rares down, older cards down, new mechanically unique cards up. But I say them as trends because they are trends and nothing more. The best card in the set, as far as I'm concerned, the alternate art Trafalgar Law, that just dropped from 55 down to 32 on release. And it's crept back up to 37 now. But that is not going up like some of these other mechanically unique cards, despite having the best artwork in the set. So I don't know. Maybe people aren't rating this one as a playable card, so it's not pushing it up. The point is, any trend I can give you, as I have been doing, I can come and give you alternate examples which just go completely against it. And that tends to be a little bit of a problem. It's still a great set for picking up some of those older cards. Things like the OP06 Sanji Secret Rare for $5. Loving it. The Toshigi from OP10 for $2. Loving it. The Boon from EB01 for $2. Loving it. For getting some of these older cards super cheap. Oh, a lot of these older cards, they are literally cheaper than they've been basically ever. And that's wonderful, and I love it, and I hope this trend carries on. But the reality here is that there are a whole bunch of alternate arts in this set which are frankly going a little bit silly, and the trends for this set are all over the place. Some of these cards are going to come down more, some of them are going to go up more, and a lot of the time I can come along in videos like this and I can say, look, here are the trends, here's what's happening. And I've given you the best analysis I can of what's going on right now, but the reality of the situation right now is we don't have nice, clear, neat trends like we often do. Things are a little bit all over the place. But I've told you what I can, I've shown you the trends that I can, and now it's over to you guys. Tell me what you think about all of this in the comment section. Tell me what you pulled, tell me what you picked up. Tell me which cards you want to get, but you're waiting to see what happens with a price. Go nuts! Be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWasi. That's where we talk about One Piece and a whole bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts, join a Discord, and all kinds of fun things. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching Wasi Plays.